Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the series on my podcast, Software DM. My name is Dustin Monarres, and on today's show, we will be talking and learning about how to install and run a virtual machine within your host computer. You're probably asking yourself what a virtual machine is and what it can do for you. And on today's show, I will explain the benefits of a virtual machine can bring when working with the operating system. Let's get started. So first, we're going to learn how to install a virtual machine on your computer. A virtual machine allows you to run another operating system within your current one. This is useful for testing software, running multiple operating systems on one machine, and much more. Firstly, you'll need to download and install virtualization software. There are several popular options such as Oracle VirtualBox, VMware Workstation, and Microsoft Hyper-V. And for this tutorial, we'll be using VirtualBox. So you can go online and you can go to VirtualBox and download it for your host. If your host is a Windows computer, we can download it on a Windows computer. If it's a Mac, we can install it on Mac or any other operation your host system carries. Um, yeah, so I already have mine installed. So what we want to do as well is download the ISO image that we're going to be using uh, of the operating system that we're going to be using today. In this case, I have chosen Linux. And one of the Linux distributions, it's called CentOS. We're gonna go here. You can use this link right here to download the ISO image for Linux CentOS. And we're gonna use this one right here, the 4 GB one. I also have it already installed in my computer. As you can see, we can go to downloads and it's right here. Um, so in order to create a new virtual machine, what we're gonna do is click new when we open our VM software. We want to name our virtual machine your name underscore VM, something basic. The type of virtual machine we're going to be using, obviously we're going to use Linux, and we want to do Red Hat 64-bit. You click on next. The memory size we um want to do for the RAM, want to do 2048. This varies depending on the RAM size that your computer has. So you want to make sure you check your specs before creating a virtual machine to know the limit, the capacity your computer can run. That way you can avoid lagging on your computer when using a virtual machine. Next, we want to create a virtual hard disk. So we're going to create it. We want to use the VDI, virtual box disk image, since we're going to be using an ISO image. We can do dynamically allocated, and we want to put here 32 gigabytes. We want to create it. And we have created our virtual machine. Before we boot up our virtual machine, we want to do some extra arranges. So we're going to go to Advanced, Share Clipboard. You want to have it by directorial, drag and drop by directorial. This is going to allow you to copy and paste from your host to your virtual machine and vice versa, as well as drag stuff into your virtual machine and from your virtual machine to your host machine. Now we want to go to the system, base memory, our RAM. We already set it at 2048 megabytes. For the boot order, we want to remove floppy disk. We haven't used floppy disk since the 60s. Want to have it optical so I can load our ISO image. And go to display. For this one, I like having it all the way up. 128 megabytes. Enable 3D acceleration. Nothing else to edit here. For the storage, we want to go to this disk right here. This is empty. We're going to click on this disk up here in the upper corner. We're going to choose a file, this file, and we're going to choose our downloaded ISO image. We're going to open it. Make sure everything, we shouldn't be able to change anything. That should be it for right now. We're going to click OK, and we're ready to boot our machine. So now we click on Start, wait for it to boot. We ready to install Linux. It's going to boot up. It is going to take a couple minutes to boot up and to install the software. So don't panic if it takes a while. It varies from computer to computer. Right now it's checking everything to make sure it can install so there's no errors. So this will take a while. Alright guys, it's setting itself up. Okay, so now we have our starting screen. Welcome to CentOS 7. We're going to use English as our default language, or you can use any language you prefer, but we're going to go with English since it's a default. Going to hit continue. So for the date and time, you want to click your time zone. In my case, it's a Denver time zone. And I click done. For the software selection, I'm going to use server with GUI. That way that way we don't just get a command line, a shell, and do everything so we can have a GUI interface. And just add system administrative tools. Later on, we can research what each add-on does, or we can go work with that. So now we just wait to see if we don't get any errors. Now remember when we created our virtual disk image at the beginning when setting up the virtual machine, we're going to click this so everything can be stored there. So now we're going to click done, click it and done. Click it and done. So now we automatic partition selected. Now we want to click on the network and make sure it's on. That way we can connect to the internet when using our virtual machine. Click on done as well. And we can begin installation. Now remember, we gotta set a root password. Root password is so you can have administrative access and you can able to modify any file, run any script. Pretty much you have full access, full control to your operating system. So you want to create a password that you won't forget. Now we click done, and we're gonna create a user. Type in your full name for the user creation. You'll get a username by default. In my case, it's Dimonares. You want to make your user an administrator, so you're able to run commands, you're able to run scripts, and you can have some root privileges when working with your desktop. For the password, you want to make a password something that's not related to your root password for security purposes. and we're gonna click done. Now we're just gonna wait for everything to install. It is gonna take a while to install, so we can just wait for right now. Whoa, guys, that took a while. Now all we have to do is reboot the system. So we're gonna reboot the VirtualBox so it can finish installing. This will take a couple minutes, not much. You see it's already rebooting. We're gonna click on the top one, enter. It's gonna reboot. It's starting up. Loading. Now it's gonna tell us to accept the license for using CentOS. We're connected to the network already, and finish configuration. And there you have it, guys. Now we're just gonna log in into our the user we created. In this case, me. We sign in. We get the interactive GUI for Linux. And one of the things with Linux is the command line. The command line is the best thing you can use in Linux. It does updates faster, file management is faster. So we're gonna go to applications, we go to system tools, go to terminal. It's gonna open the command line, and you always gotta make sure you have that dollar sign. That dollar sign means you're in a user mode, so you're not in root. Skip. Start using CentOS. Okay. So right now I'm Dimonares, that's a user, at localhost. We're gonna use the command pwd, which is gonna tell you in what directory you are. In this case, I'm in home user directory. We're gonna do an ls command. Ls command is to show you what's inside Dimonares, which will be desktop, documents, downloads, and so on. In order to move to directory from directory, what we're gonna do is do a cd, and then we're gonna, I want to go to desktop. I'll put a capital D, and we can just desktop and tab. Tab is gonna be your best friend whenever filling up a command. FYI, Linux is case sensitive, so you gotta make sure when you create files or directories that you create them how you want them to be run at when running a file or running a command or going into a file. Make sure to type it as it is, or Linux is not going to recognize the file. So you go and now we're in the desktop. Yeah, that's about it. And that's it. You've now successfully installed a virtual machine on your computer. You can use this virtual machine to run software, test operating systems, and more. Have fun exploring the possibilities. So, like I said, whether you're looking to experiment with different operating systems, test software without risk to your main system, or simply want to learn more about virtualization, installing a virtual machine is, it's just a great way of doing stuff. It's a useful skill to have. By following the steps I provided, you'll be able to install a virtual machine on your computer in no time. Happy virtualization.